Are we open here? Perfect. Good. All right, I'd like to call to order the Wednesday, July 17th Parks, Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting. Do I have a motion on the minutes from the June 19th meeting? So moved. And seconded? Okay, thank you. The next committee meeting is September 11th, 2024, 4 o'clock here in the Anderson Room. Are there any agendas, additions and deletions? I have a couple. Number 5 is Vision Zero. I believe we're going to have a speaker on that, and Councillor Wolf wants to speak to that. And number 6 will be River Road traffic, and we have a citizen here who's going to speak to that. And then we'll likely be doing an amendment to item number 4, which is the mattress reupholstery recycling. Is there any other agenda additions or deletions? Seeing none, can I move on to number 1, which is Springfield Drive traffic calming. The implementation of 2 speed cushions on Springfield Drive as described in the staff report, and stated June 17th, 2024. And we have Ms. Hingoria, sorry, I never say that right, here to speak to this item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have nothing further to add to the report and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we have Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, the member.
Just 1 second, Bill, we're just going to get you turned on.
Use the
Where are my people?
use the mouse. Click on the mouse.
Oh, it's on there. Okay, sorry. Right you are.
Yeah, you got to play with the mouse.
Could try again.
Okay. Yeah. Just a quick question, if I can. Do we have a policy on speed limits within subdivisions, generally speaking? I notice here that the Springfield Drive, which I live at the head of Springfield Drive, has a 50K speed limit, and I'm just wondering, because we'd gone through Steveston, and we talked about 50K back to 30, and I'm just wondering, is this the general policy in all subdivisions, the Mons, the Rovers, Patterson Road, et cetera? Through the chair to staff.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, it's under the jurisdiction of the province and the Motor Vehicle Act that all residential roadways in the province are 50 kilometers per hour, and the city can, through bylaw amendments, make changes like we've done most recently on 2nd Avenue, Hamilton neighborhood, to amend those maximum speeds to 30 kilometers per hour.
So we can, if citizens wish to petition, they can adjust accordingly if the council felt there was need to that.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, absolutely, and that has been the process with those other neighborhoods as well.
No problem. Thanks very much. I think that's good to know, and I think it's very important for the public to know that as well.
Yeah, you know, this started as a community initiative. There were some people that contacted me and said, they're going way too fast. And so we thought we'd check it out. And yeah, 85% were over speeding. And it's just very surprising that many in that location. And so staff did a report and got 49% support for putting in the speed cushions. That's the only reason it's here in front of committee. Had it been over 50%,
Down to Andy's.
had it been over 50%, then they could have just gone ahead and done it without us. So I think we should support this. It's a pilot project, probably permanent ones we could be put in about, I think it's 3 months. Yeah. So all those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, seeing none, that's passed. Okay, number 2 on the agenda is the Steveston Village Lane parking. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically it's about establishing parking in the lanes of the Steveston Village and doing a permit parking pilot program. And this is between Chatham, Bayview, and just in the village itself. Ms. Singh, do you have anything to add to the report?
Madam Chair, I have nothing to add to the report, but happy to answer questions.
Okay, and it looks like Councillor McNulty, push your button.
Just a quick question, if I may. A number of the, in the lanes on First Avenue, Second Avenue, et cetera, a number of companies and also businesses own property. And if we are, and I support everything you've done, great report, will they get first dibs for their employees to have those parking spots? For example, I'll just pick Sean Graham's psychological services at the back. their lot comes out and there's room to park there. Will they get that, or if I get there first, I can take that spot, and too bad?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, I think the permit parking program can be run a number of ways. What we are recommending is to make it available to all businesses in the Steveston town site area. And then those who have a permit can have access to any of the spots that have been established. But certainly any other way of running it is possible if we want to prioritize certain businesses over the others. What I would say is that, it's not possible to establish spot spaces in front of every business. So, if we do choose to do that, then some businesses would get access to spots while others may not.
Even if they own the property?
The spaces
I
that
don't know where the fine line is in those lanes. For example, take First Avenue. It's wide. You've got a Japanese restaurant there, you got the Prickly Pear, you've got SOS, you've got all that, and you got Paul Meyer's X thing. So I'm just looking to see how it's going to be, because the people that are complaining are those same people. If they can't get those spots for their employees, the problem's not going to, it's going to be exasperated. That's all. Good, I'm waiting for an answer. Director of Transport.
Madam Chair, and through the chair to Councillor McNulty, if it's on their property, those are their spots, right? We're talking about spots that are on city property that may be adjacent to the business properties.
Okay,
So-
but we'll be able to survey it if you wish to know exactly where they are? And will they be marked out?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, yes, they'll be marked out.
No, the report's great. I think it's long overdue, but I'm just curious because it'll come back. Thank you.
Councillor Liu?
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for this report. So in the one option, we would only give out 16 permits, and the other one, we could give out unlimited, or would we cap it at something, like something tells me if we have 100, some people are going to continuously not get any parking, and we're going to hear about it.
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, we don't know what the uptake will be. The number of businesses there is about 140, and so there are 16 spots. Yes, so for option 3, what we are recommending is not capping it at this time to make it available to everyone, and then staff will have a chance to assess who is interested and who isn't. And, if there's a great amount of demand that doesn't meet supply, then we can certainly bring that back for consideration.
Okay, so the permits would only be available to business owners or businesses in the area, so no residential people in any of the places that have residential?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Okay. Now, this kind of model, could it be used somewhere else? I recently got a complaint from somebody on Vanguard complaining that one of the auto body shops is just moving cars every 3 days to avoid their ticketing, but nobody else is able to get parking spots. So can a similar thing happen somewhere else, or is it too spread out because of where the businesses are and aren't? Or like, how do you decide this circle of where the businesses are that?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, we certainly can implement permit programs on a demand basis. And, if we see a demand from a majority of property owners in a certain area, we can take a look at whether we want to implement something like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Hobbs?
Thanks, and through the chair, I'm not on the committee, but thank you. First of all, thanks for the report, because parking in Steveston is very tight, as we know, and this came up through the community in the way of a complaint and concerns, and also there's accessibility and clearance issues in the lanes to do with fire trucks and that, as we know. So I think that this is a good start, and I'm fully supportive of it. I think there'll be some things to reassess and work out, and I think that's what you're going to come back with an assessment and maybe some amendments or adjustments to it as we see fit. So I just wanted to say thanks for the prompt attention to it, because it was a big concern for many community members. So appreciate the work.
Councillor Heat?
Yes, just to follow up on Councillor Liu's point here is Steveston, a highly dense area, lots of complaints coming in with respect to parking. I think it's been an ongoing problem for decades now, and we've got to be careful what we're opening up here. And as Councillor Liu alluded to, when you look at Vanguard Way, And the fact that we have people that are saying, well, why Stevenson? Why not us when we have the same problem that's occurring here? And just today I had a discussion regarding around Costco and Beckwith Road. It's the same thing. So we've got to decide whether we're going to become like Vancouver and have permit-only parking in areas. It should be based on some type of criteria. In Vancouver, for example, it's around the hospital, it's, downtown, the West End, and all of those. So we've got to start to look beyond just Steveston and develop some type of criteria or policy here in Richmond when we have permit-only parking, because we're going to get more and more people making a request for this.
Did you want to speak to this, Mr. B?
Sure, Madam Chair, I certainly can. Not only with businesses, through the Chair to Councillor He, not only with businesses, but with Bill 44 and all of those things that will come along. Certainly, permit parking will become more of an issue within the city in a number of places. But what I suggest is that when these arise, that we look at them for solutions and then bring them to council for resolution.
And as I recall, this is a pilot project, and we're going to assess how it's working and then make changes as needed. Is that correct?
To the chair, that's correct.
Yeah, and then I wanted to just do sort of a friendly request. There are parking lots, paid parking lots in the Steveston area. I'm thinking in particular to the west of the Buccaneer Pub, right by the Gulf of Georgia Cannery. And would it be possible to put signs out, just alerting people there is parking, paid parking in these particular areas?
To the chair, we can definitely take a look at that through the wayfinding strategy to look for opportunities for that.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people drive by that particular lot and think, oh, it's private and, I can't go in there because there's that office right in the middle, and it would appear as though it's not for everyone, but in fact, it is open to the public. It's just not well signed. So, okay, well, as far as I know, there's no opposition. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, well, that's passed. Thank you very much. Okay, number 3 on the agenda is the Engineering and Public Works Division is the Fraser River Freshet and Flood Protection Update. And staff are asking us to receive this for information. Hello, how are you, Mr. Hugh?
Doing good, Madam Chair.
Good. Is there anything that you would like to add to this report?
Nothing to add. Happy to answer questions.
Okay, Councillor Wolf is online, and I'm hoping our T people can get him on screen so he can ask a question.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Chair. If you can hear me, nod.
Perfect.
Look good. All right, thank you. So I just got 2 quick questions. I'd like to do unofficial supervision of our catchment areas. So when I saw on our page 28, Woodward Slough, Shell Road North, and the number 4 Road North drainage areas, I'm familiar with those, but I'm not familiar with the Green Slough. Could you just give me some location for that one?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the Green Slough pump station is located within the Woodward Slough pump station. It's actually an inland pump station.
Okay. I have yet to find that one. I will look for it. Thanks. My second question is on our page 27. It mentions at the bullet points under dike rehabilitation that we removed 320 tons of large woody debris from shorelines. And I'm assuming most of this comes from upriver or from all the log booms. So I'm just curious, that probably had quite a big financial impact to handle that amount. Do we receive any compensation or any financial support to do all that work?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we are exploring opportunities to seek assistance from the province.
Okay, would we be able to determine where the majority are coming from? Or are they fallen trees or are they timber?
It's hard to assess, but it's definitely coming from upstream, timber, fallen trees, a mix of different sources.
Alrighty then. All right, I appreciate that. Thanks so much.
I just wanted to also mention, if in the report it states that our snowpack is at 57% of normal, and rainfall in 2023 was 19% lower than normal. But that doesn't mean that we don't keep updating our dikes. We are, in a situation where if we don't do that, we could be in trouble in the future. So this report just really keeps us on our toes and makes sure that we know the status of how things are today. Are there any other questions from committee? All right, all those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, that's carried. All right, number 4 on the agenda is the award of contract for mattress and upholstered furniture recycling. And this would be with Pacific Mattress Recycling Incorporated, and the contract is for about $1.96 million over a maximum 5-year term. And Ms. Natalie, do you have anything to add to the report?
Madam Chair, nothing to add, but available to answer any questions.
Sorry, Ms. Nishi, I apologize. All right. Okay, yeah. Okay, so after reading this, I was a little concerned that the only company in Metro Vancouver that can do mattress recycling and upholstered furniture recycling is in Hope. So we have to get a 53-foot trailer at the works yard and start loading mattresses and furniture into it. And then when there is enough, then it will go off to the Hope location. So that increases our costs. But there is no other alternative. Can you speak to the bidding process?
Madam Chair, so yes, you are correct that there is only one viable processing facility in the region. They did merge with Canadian Mattress, which is the company that we were using previously. That was in Delta, so much lower hauling costs. So going out to Hope is our only option at this time.
We're one of only, 2 or 3 cities that are actually recycling mattresses at this time?
Madam Chair, all mattresses are banned from the landfill, so they do need to be recycled. But we are one of 2 municipalities that are recycling upholstered furniture.
Right, which is good. So just to put it in perspective, in 2023, there were 3,718 mattresses and box springs recycled, and upholstered furniture, 12,000 pieces. So to all those who have usable furniture, please donate it to a thrift store, or give it to a neighbor. Let's try to reduce those numbers because much of this is reusable. Now, having said that, is it not true that the company, Pacific Mattress Recycling, does attempt to repurpose or donate furniture items?
Madam Chair, that is correct.
Okay, good. So there was, I wanted to make a number 4 add to this because we're not getting anything from the province on this. And so the amendment, or not the amendment, the number 4 I would like to add to the motion is that in alignment with the Richmond Circular City Strategy, a letter be written to the Minister of the Environment and Climate Change Strategy to request the establishment of an extended producer responsibility program for upholstered furniture and acceleration of the planned intended producer's responsibility program for mattresses and mattress foundations. In other words, get the province to charge a fee so that we can recoup some of that expense from the manufacturer of these mattresses. And so I move that addition to the agenda, or sorry, addition to the motion. Do I have a seconder? Sorry. You don't want to write a letter to the province?
I'm good to add that onto the resolution.
Yeah, I talked to staff about this morning, and there is no plan right now. And so it's just like when you buy a bottle of Coke, you have to pay a deposit. Well, why not when you buy a mattress that you pay a fee that then goes to the province? Mayor Brody? I don't have you. Can you push your button?
Oh.
There we go.
I'm not usually on this side.
Yeah.
I think a letter is fine, but I think we also should be realistic. We sent a letter like that, I forget what the products were, just, it wasn't very long ago, and we got this very polite letter back saying no. I don't think they have any wish to extend it to that, but it certainly merits asking.
Yeah, I think that the province might be interested in this, the sheer numbers of mattresses that are being recycled. Councillor Liu, did you have something to say?
I think the idea has merit, absolutely. I think in reality, though, you'll pay extra for your mattress so that the city can recoup the money to recycle your mattress when you are just paying it in your property taxes anyway. And instead of paying that middleman in the middle to collect the money in the first place and redistribute it back to the city, you're further behind than when you started.
I asked staff today whether it was logical to just have Richmond mattress companies charge it, but then people just go to Surrey or Delta and buy their mattresses. So they felt that a provincial program would be more useful. Mayor Brody, did you want to?
Yeah, just to add to that, isn't there some kind of a charge when you take your mattress for recycling? Don't you have to pay a fee of some sort?
Through the chair to Mayor Brody, depending where you take it. So our Richmond residents, as a part of the large item pickup program, they do pay into recycling the mattresses through that. Some facilities do have a fee associated with it.
All right, so it may end up replacing that fee that you pay, sometimes would pay. Okay.
Yeah, like we have, if you get a ticket for, if you ask for a pickup at your curb, it's free of charge, right? It's only if you actually take it out to the Delta facility that you would pay?
Madam Chair, so large item pickup program is funded through the garbage utility line as well.
Yeah, so there's no extra fee that we charge the homeowner?
It's built in, yes.
Okay, great. And I think Councillor McNulty, you had a question?
And I don't have a question, just a comment. I support sending a letter, making the province aware of what we're doing and what we're trying to do. And because like the mayor has said, I don't think they've given it one thought. And it is only going to be an increasing issue down the road. And it falls in line with many of the things that they have a bit of a shortcomings on. And I think we need to, if we're talking about climate change and all those things, we need to be at the forefront and do it. So let's get a letter off. Let's explain the issue. Let's mention that people have to go to Hope to dump their mattress, and we don't want to see them dumped at the side of the road on number 6 Road or 7 Road in Richmond. And that's what happens. You can go up there now and you'll see the odd couch in the side of the road. You'll see the odd chair, etc. So I think we've got to keep our city as beautiful as it is. We need to do it. So I support getting this letter off accordingly.
Thank you. You bring a very good point out, Councillor McNulty. One of the things the staff told me this morning was that for every couch or mattress that's left on the side of the road, it can cost us $1,000 to deal with it.
Right.
Whereas allowing people to just call the city and say, I have a large item to be picked up is cost effective. What is amazing is that the province hasn't thought of this. Yeah, but once again, we're the leaders, aren't we?
We're with you.
Councillor Al?
Well, I think writing a letter is always a good gesture. But I just wonder whether or not if the provincial government listens to us and implements such a program, the Richmond residents are actually paying twice. Because I think the big item program is not free. You know, we charge them on our property tax. So our residents paying for the large item program, and if, you know, when they buy the mattress and whatever, they have to add on a surcharge. So I think the Richmond residents are actually suffering because they'll pay twice. The large pickup in the city and then the extra cost at the source. So writing letters is a good gesture. But is it a good idea? I don't know. I have reservation about that, to be honest.
Okay, well, if you want to vote on number 4 separately?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go, if there are no other questions, yeah, you're good. Okay, so 1 through 3, can I have a motion to adopt those?
No, that's number 4.
Yeah, okay.
Just call the question.
All those in favor? All right, perfect. Item number 4, which is writing a letter to the provincial government requesting that they look into establishing an extended producer responsibility program for upholstered furniture. That's item number 4. All those in favor of that, do it. Perfect. And those opposed? Councillor Al. Thank you. And Liu, so sorry. Okay. So Councillor Liu and Al are opposed to that. And here's the motion. Did Councillor Wolf want to just speak up? Are you in favor of everything on the agenda on number 5?
Yes, yes, I was in favor of both of those votes.
All right, thank you. Thanks for asking. Okay, number 5 on the agenda is Vision Zero. And was there someone here in the audience who wanted to speak to that? If not, was Councillor McNulty was going to, I think, say a few words. I don't know. Okay, I think we can take that off then. Perfect.
Oh, sorry, you mean Councillor Wolf? Because I'd speak to it.
Yeah, because there was going to be someone here to speak to Vision Zero that was referred last week, earlier this week, but there isn't anybody here in the room, Councillor Wolf, so is there anything you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll just ask one question to staff and through you, Chair. So this was brought up as a non-agenda item at our last council meeting. It was referred to community.
We're losing you, Councillor Wolf. Can IT do something about that? Why don't we?
The next day, and it was briefly discussed there. Probably not. Okay, sorry.
Councillor Wolf, I think I'm going to go to Councillor Heed for a minute and see if IT can get your connection better. Okay, Councillor Heed?
Yeah, just to carry, I think I know what Councillor Wolf was mainly referring to is the fact that this originally came to council. It was referred to Community Safety and Public Works and Transportation by the mayor. We agreed to all that. We had a brief discussion at Community Safety with respect to this on ensuring that our enforcement body, the police chief was here and everyone else on what we could do around crosswalks and various areas like that to make it safe. At the same time, we were going to talk and discuss this in Public Works, and I think Mr. B, who was in that community safety meeting, I don't know if he's got anything else to add, but, you know, areas where we need to do some traffic engineering around to create safer spaces for pedestrians. And yes, we'd like to work towards zero fatalities in Richmond, and I think that's our goal. At the end of the day, I think trying to accomplish that, there's various things we probably could do from an enforcement point of view and a traffic engineering point of view.
Okay, I'm just going to ask IT, have we got Councillor Wolf back?
You probably do, and Councillor Heed asked the question better than I did. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone in staff that wants to comment on this? I'm not sure. We don't have a motion on the table. We were just going to discuss it today.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I certainly can speak for a moment, though I didn't hear a question. Like we certainly heard the committee at Community Safety, and we do have a referral from that committee now. And we did highlight how many of the things we're already very much aligned with Vision Zero. We already do many of the things and a lot of the improvements that are recommended, and in particular, like we were talking moments ago about reducing speeds and things like that, and that's one of the primary tenets. So we do have a referral from Community Safety. I don't know if you want to make another one here.
So, I mean, Mayor Brody, it was your suggestion that it come to Public Works and Transportation. Do you have any comments or thoughts about that?
Well, I think it was just to emphasize the fact that there's multifacets to this issue, and the referral has been made from the whole body, and I think staff has heard our concerns, and we'll look forward to getting more information coming back.
Okay, then I don't think we have any motions on that. We can just move forward to number 6, which is River Road traffic. And we have a member of the audience, from a citizen that would like to come and speak to us about his concerns. Can you please introduce yourself and give your address? And I will just one sec, we'll just click.
Yes, it's mine.
There we go. No, hold on one sec. Have you got a red?
I'm a little challenged. There we go.
There we go. Okay.
My name is John McKendry. I live at 23271 Westminster Highway. I own 2 businesses in Richmond over my lifetime, a warehouse, as well as 2 houses right on Westminster Highway. My business was predominantly in the cycling world. I had a bicycle shop on number 3 Road. And proudly owned that for many years. I've talked to a lot of cyclists. I was there actually on November the 6th, and I saw Mr. Brad Dean covered up on the road. Sorry.
Take your time.
When you hit 60, you cry at cartoons. But there were 6 cyclists that were hit outside my house by a driver that came from the casino on a sunny, or no, it wasn't sunny, but it was on a Sunday afternoon. There was nobody there, and he passed a car. We live on the end at Westminster Highway and River Road. So River Road is used, and it's probably one of the most scenic roads in Richmond. At the same time, it's one of the most dangerous roads in Richmond because it's a racetrack. Right now, I drove here from there 25 minutes and crossed number 6 road, and I got run off the road only one time today in the S-curve. And before I came here, I spoke to my neighbor who owns a car dealership in New Westminster, and he lives approximately 1.5 kilometers up the road from me. He's at 23,000 River Road, Mr. Cabani, Nick Cabani. And he's had to go out there on the road himself and wave stop signs to help slow down people because it's unbelievable what you'll see out that way. This road is used by a lot of people for many reasons. There's elderly people that are pushed there in a wheelchair with an oxygen bottle from the new Hamilton
Senior Center.
Senior Center for the last breath of their life to, here I go again. You know, just to see an eagle or something like that. So we tried to get some cement barriers put up because 53-foot containers and trucks that are way too big to be on River Road, there's a limitation of 9 tons on River Road, GVW, sorry. That means that a dump truck that's empty is too heavy. And we are covered with dump trucks on a daily basis from approximately 6:30 to 6:45. 3 of these elephants roll by my door, and they're carrying a giant trailer that has double axle. They have the capacity of carrying 70 tons completely. It's unfathomable how heavy they are, and to make the turn onto River Road, which they're doing illegally. Plus, we get 53-foot containers that travel the other way, being westbound, to City Yard and beyond when there's any kind of traffic congestion like in the tunnel. River Road is a very special road. It's an arterial road that's used when there's a major traffic accident. Alex Fraser Bridge, it wasn't too long ago when a man tried to commit suicide on it and we had an 8-hour blockage. There was traffic on River Road from number 6 road all the way to Westminster Highway for 8 hours, no moving. People were in panic mode. I was handing out water.
Okay. Have you spoken to city staff or to the RCMP about your concerns?
I don't know. You know, there doesn't seem to be a lot that's been done. We've been asking for a flashing light. This year alone, my neighbor has had 3 cars run off the end of River Road into his backyard 3 times. Now his wife is in fear of their children's lives.
Okay. I know we've had concerns with that stretch before, especially after a fatality. I wonder if Mr. B could talk a little bit about the steps that were taken at that time?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I can speak to that. Like, certainly River Road is on our radar, like it is a concern. You know, ultimately, if you remember years ago, my predecessor brought forward a plan to potentially put in a bunch of speed humps and things like that along there that wasn't met well by the community, so that didn't happen. Certainly, as we look forward to the execution of the Dike Master Plan over time, there will certainly be improvements to all of that. However, that won't happen in the next year or two or anything like that. So, you know, we've been looking for alternatives. Certainly, enforcement's been out there. I don't know what its impact's been, but there are a lot of speeders, and you know, we're looking for solutions, but barring speed humps, like, I don't know what we can do to actually keep these guys going a little slower other than enforcement.
Madam Chair, if I could speak to the enforcement, there was just recently a 53-foot container traveling illegally in front of my house, went into the ditch and blocked the road. This road, if there was any need for first response to any of my neighbors, all the way back to number 7 road. This is kilometers. They wouldn't have had access. He blocked it for hours. The police officer did not ticket the driver. He let him go with a stern warning and a finger waving.
This may be
That's
more of
it.
a community safety matter then. Mayor Brody, did you have something you wanted to say?
Well, yeah, you just made the point, and my suggestion is that we refer this matter to staff from the transportation section and also community safety to look at the situation, to review the situation as it currently stands, that we look to enforcement and possible other steps to improve the situation, especially from a safety point of view.
All right, I think that's a very wise decision. Do
I'll
we,
move that.
do you have a seconder? Second. Okay, and we have Councillor Wolf online who would like to ask a question.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to ask the question that the delegate brought up on the limit, the weight limit that trucks are intended to be at, that 9 ton, yet some are carrying much larger loads of that, mainly because council's given approval for soil or fill applications to get fill dumped on farmland along River Road. So would that be the exception, I guess, is if a truck that's heavier has like business in the area, then it's allowed? Could staff just clarify that?
Does anyone in staff have any answer to that question?
They can take it as part of the referral.
Okay, good point, yeah. Okay, Councillor Heed.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm certainly being cognizant of the problem from not only Mr. McKendry, but others in the area with respect to what's going on. And you'll recall that this was brought up about a year ago, and there was some enforcement, and I think that enforcement was publicized in the Richmond News at that particular time on the speeding within that particular area. But enforcement's not going to be the only solution. It's part of the solution. And, you know, I have to agree with the mayor that we need a comprehensive approach to this particular problem. And whether it's, as Mr. McKendry has talked about, is a flashing light, whether it's cement barriers, whether it's bollards in that particular area to slow people down. I think these are all things that our staff need to take into consideration to come up with a comprehensive approach to it, because the significance of that road is important to Richmond, but again, the fatalities are completely unacceptable.
Yeah, I think we'd all agree on that, Councillor Heed. Well, really appreciate you coming forward, Mr. McKendry, and bringing this to our attention. As you can see, this is going to be going to the community safety staff and also to engineering staff. So we'll have a full report coming back to council. Do we have any idea when we might expect that report back? If this referral is passed, which I'm sure it will be.
Madam Chair, I can't give you an exact date, but we'll do it as quickly as we can.
Okay, good. All right, so you've heard the referral. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that's passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I want to say that we need to stop River Road from looking like a grave site. There's nothing but flowers and memorial sites for where everyone has died.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right you are. Thank you very much for coming forward. All right, are there any managers' reports?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my pleasure to introduce Victor Ma. Victor was recently appointed as the Manager of Sanitary Sewers and Public Works Operations, and he's going to give you a bit of an update on what we call fatbergs in the Metro Vancouver line.
Yeah, and she just said fatbergs. I just learned this word today. Can you help explain it?
Thank you. To Madam Chair, so this is an update to the ongoing grease-related situation along the existing Gilbert trunk sewer line and the Lulu Island wastewater treatment plant. So starting around the middle of June, Metro Vancouver started to observe an increased frequency of fatbergs at the Lulu Island wastewater treatment plant. Fatbergs are formed from fats, oils, and grease congealing around other materials such as baby wipes and garbage within the system. At the treatment plant, a wide range of fatberg sizes were observed, with some being as large as a wheelbarrow. As of last week, the presence of fatbergs has stopped, and Metro Vancouver is currently in the process of identifying the originating source through a full-length inspection of the existing Gilbert trunk sewer. In coordination with Metro Vancouver staff, city staff are continuing to work on source control by identifying high grease-producing businesses and residences to provide targeted grease disposal education. Staff are continuing to monitor the situation and will provide assistance to Metro Vancouver if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. This sounds like it'd be a really good story in the Richmond News. I mean, everybody would be freaked out if they heard or saw what those look like. So thank you for your hard work. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other managers' reports? Seeing no hands coming up, so I'll call for adjournment. Oh, I'm terribly sorry, Councillor Heed, I missed you. Okay, and click.
You recall last meeting, we talked during the manager's report about the Chevron gas station at 2 on Westminster Highway. I noticed again, within the last couple of weeks, the problem is there when they reduce the price of gas. So I just want to know if there's an update from
Okay.
staff on
Maybe
that.
someone from staff can take care of that one.
Yeah, Madam Chair, we're actually in the process of writing a memo back to mayor and councillors. But to give the Coles Notes version of it, we did put some no stopping signs up along that area so that in case people didn't know that they would understand that. We've also spoken to the manager at the Chevron and a few other things like that. But we've also had a look through our traffic signal data, the video data, to try and quantify what the problem is. But we don't have a comprehensive solution at this point.
Have you been able, with video data, been able to determine the times of the day that it's a problem or days of the month?
Yes, we have, Madam Chair, but I have not.
Okay.
I don't have that specific information
All
with
right.
me.
Okay, Councillor Siriar, just click on you. Sorry, Councillor Hobbs.
Thanks, and through the chair. Yeah, just to follow up on what we're doing, I did notice that there were do not block roadway signs up, which is good. And just a possibility to think that it's a practical thing to have, you know, the white painted lines on there too, like don't block the things you have in front of fire stations, for instance, so people get the impression not to park and block that part of the road. I'm not asking right now, but maybe just a thought.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, of course, anything at council's direction is possible.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, well, let's get the memo and then we can make some motions. All right, anybody else? Nope, okay, then call for a motion to adjourn. All those in favor, all those opposed? Perfect, we are adjourned. Vacate my seat.
Yep, it's 4:44. I want to have the meeting, the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Service Committee meeting. So let's call the meeting order. I also want to remind people that after the open meeting, we also have a closed meeting, okay? So, good, so let's go. Should I have a motion for the minutes? Motion, questions in favor, motion carry. Then next committee meeting will be on September 24th, 4 o'clock in the Anderson Room, I mean. Is there any addition or deletion to the agenda? Seeing none, so we'd go along with the agenda. So item number 1, Garden City Community Park Gathering Space Contribution. Staff, anything to add to your report or any comments you want to make?
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to add. Happy to answer any questions.
Any recommendation? It's moved and seconded. Any further discussions? Seeing none? Oh, you want to speak? Okay, yeah, Bill.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chairman. I just, I'm okay. All right. Now, just, Mr. Chairman, thanks very much, and thanks staff to working with the Rotary clubs in Richmond to have a Rotary Peace Garden. I was there at the opening. I think His Worship was there as well when it opened, and to have a group come forward to offer to make a commitment of this size to us and to beautify our community. And also, I think it's just magnanimous of them. So I thank them and I thank staff for this. I think it's quite a commitment, but they'll come through. So thank you very much, Rotarians, and for your commitment to the city of Richmond.
Okay. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carry. Thank you to the Rotary Club. Next item, community partnership with the Indian Cultural Center of Canada for King George Park improvements. Again, we have staff, anything to add or comments to it?
Thank you, Chair. No, extra comment. Happy to answer any questions as well. Thank you.
Okay, any recommendations? So it's moved, seconded. Bill.
Again, we have two groups coming forward with offers like this. It shows what kind of a vibrant community and what commitment we have. And again, thank the India Cultural Center and the Gurdwara on 5 Road for all the words they do, and also thank staff for working with them. As you know, a number of us were there when we recognized the contribution. I can't remember, remind me, was it a year ago? Thereabouts, approximately. We recognized the contribution of the community to Richmond and to the province of British Columbia. And I think we're one of the few cities that do this. So the improvements of the park on it. And one of the things, and I was kidding some members from the Gurdwara, but with this major commitment, maybe there's some opportunity for other things in King George Park. The park was established in 1948, and believe it or not, the first family from the community was the Mahal family in 1949 that settled in Richmond, over on number 7 Road and Westminster Highway. That house is still there. And so it's interesting, and we see this. So a huge thank yous all around. And I think we need to recognize when we get donations like this to everything. So kudos. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor.
Yes, thank you for this, and I'm certainly aware of the contributions that the India Cultural Center gives to the community, but I have some specific questions related to the timing of this. And going to page 20, you talk about next steps. When I go through this, and I just want to be clear on this, is so you are saying that you're going to put through a capital budget in 2025 that will include a contribution by the India Cultural Center, so they're giving it's a cash contribution versus a work in kind with respect to what's going on and paying for whether it's the gazebo or whether it's the picnic tables, landscaping, or the planting of trees. So just give me some understanding of what staff is expecting out of this, because my understanding is it's a little different of what the India Cultural Center was proposing.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed. So that's correct in that our intent is to proceed with a capital funding submission for 2025. Through our discussions with finance, this would be the preferred approach from an accounting standpoint. We would be identifying that value that's put forward as an external funding source, which then would allow us to proceed with a procurement and implementation process.
So, and just so I have it correct, then we would procure the project through Richmond's process versus the cost in kind coming from a procurement through the India Cultural Center. Is that what I'm told? So Richmond would be in charge of this capital project, not the India Cultural Center. So all we're expecting from the India Cultural Center is them to do a cash contribution.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, the intent is that we would put forward this submission, adhere to the city's procurement process. We've had some discussions with our purchasing department on this and our ability to proceed with a contractor that has past experience with working with the India Cultural Center of Canada, but you're correct in that the city would be leading that procurement process.
And Todd has something to add to that.
I'll just point out before Mr. Gross chimes in here is, that's not my understanding, and I would really like to hear from the India Cultural Center with respect to that being their understanding, and Mr. Gross knows of what their expectations were, so I'd like to hear.
Yeah, Todd?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, I can provide a little bit further clarification. So the ICC is working with a number of community donors, sponsors that are business-oriented individuals and are wanting to bring money to the table, either through financial contributions and or through work in kind, theoretically, through their businesses. Given our financial requirements and our liability and safety requirements on structures, etc., we're going through this formal process, and then their vendors, components, assisters will come to the table through that process. And theoretically, as an example, let's just say we are needing landscape work, we would tender the project, their vendor would come to the table and in essence virtually have a zero cost implication to do the work, and then would take on that part of the project. The ICC also has done a sense of fundraising to date. They also want to continue to do fundraising over the next couple of years, at which point they would continue this partnership or this contribution process for a number of years going forward.
And I want to thank you for that, because that clarifies it, because this will be off the rails if in fact we go through a significant procurement controlled by the City of Richmond. I understand the oversight that's required, but part of this whole process is having their people come in and again, apply to do that particular work that's done, whether it's the 20 picnic tables with the cement pads or redoing that entire gazebo, because if we're looking at it through a capital project controlled by the City of Richmond and going through our own procurement process, I can tell you that's going to be very difficult to support, and I have a significant understanding that that would be something very difficult to support from the organizations that are partnering with the India Cultural Center to provide funding.
Good, okay. Carol?
Hi, just on the positive side of this, there are so many groups doing amazing things here in Richmond. And for an example, our Savior Lutheran Church on Number 4 Road has created a pollinator garden, which is open to the public, a labyrinth, which is also open, and St. Alba's created a labyrinth as well. And so my question to staff is, given that we have these little pocket gardens kind of all over the city, is there a way to identify them so the public can more easily find them and enjoy them?
Through the chair to Councillor Dave, definitely. So I think right now the city is also developing a citywide wayfinding strategy. Through that, we will also work in collaboration with Parks, our kind of in-house wayfinding identification program, as you can see around parks in the city where we have the green or blue totem poles. So we can definitely work with that to see how to improve wayfinding and identification for these locations.
So is it possible for a group to contact the city and say, we'd like you to open things up to the public and let people know what we have. Can they contact you directly?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, definitely, yes.
That's probably the best thing.
Sure.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Good. Bill?
Yeah, just, if I may. Just a couple of questions. I thought that the India Cultural Center was the ones that said this is what they would do, and I was sort of surprised to hear that answer, so I'm going to ask the question. Is there going to be a committee of 3 or 5 with staff in the India Cultural Center directing all the activities coming on this that they've agreed to do?
Todd?
Through the chair, Councillor McNulty, we already meet with a group of 3+ members at the ICC on a regular basis. We will continue that conversation and discussions as we go forward.
How would we handle, well, I think there needs to be a committee, how would we handle if they were able to come along and get 20 magnolia trees donated and planted by Joe Smith and Company? Do we have to send that out to tender because it's not in there, and let's say it was a $80,000 donation? How would we handle that?
Through the chair, Councillor McNulty, I mean, we'd have to look at each situation specifically. Within that, though, we've done similar initiatives in the past with community groups, and we would really look at each one as its unique case.
Well, I'm a little hesitant on how we're handling it when I understand originally they've committed a fair bit as well. And I don't want to see any bureaucratic blockage put into it. If they came along tomorrow with $100,000 and say the trees are going to go there and we wanted them there, why couldn't we just accept that and start planting?
Through the chair, Councillor McNulty, we have done initiatives of that nature similar in the past. In this particular case, we had a long, lengthy process to get to where we are today as far as particular options and opportunities within the park. We have gotten support from the ICC with the 3 established projects. There are other projects that we want to work with them on and bring forward. Some may come from them specifically, others may come from us as part of some of our maintenance areas that need to address. All of those are on the table.
Okay, well, I'll support what we've got here with thanks to them and staff to put it together at this stage. But again, I'm going to watch it very carefully because I think their enthusiasm is going to surprise us. And I'm not sure that we can move as fast as they can when it comes to resources. So that's, Mr. Chair, is what I'm very concerned. And I'm not saying I'm not going to speak for them. I'm not saying they have deep pockets, but they have deep commitment to get resources. And that's better than deep pockets. Thank you.
My belief is that there are many more details to be worked out. This is only one of many, many things happening. And also, this is not a one-time thing, right? It's spread over a period of time. So I believe, many of the issues would arise in the process, and perhaps, we'll have to deal with it accordingly. So with that, there's a recommendation, which is to receive for information. So can I move? Second? And got a question? Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carry. Item number 3, Kinderline Station project.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nothing to add to the report, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Yes. Any questions?
The recommendation.
Move seconded. Carol, you got a question?
Yes, I do. So I can't vote on this because I don't sit on this committee, but I am confused. This is a dynamic abstract form of 3 fishes climbing a waterfall. And the description says that they're koi fish leaping through a mythical dragon gate, and we've got salmon journeying up from their birthplace. Well, salmon and koi don't, swim together. They have totally different patterns. So I guess I'm not understanding the artwork. Will there be some kind of description, plaque or something? Because it just kind of looks like they're being murdered,
Through the chair to Councillor Day, absolutely, as part of our public art program, we always put plaques that describe the artwork, talk about the artist, and give a little bit more context to the artwork.
Okay, and when this comes to council next week, could we get better pictures? Because this really doesn't give it, I'm sure it's prettier than it looks on page 57. So, thank you.
Okay, good. Councillor Heath?
I just want to make a comment. I am so thrilled with our art that we have throughout Richmond. And you've heard me say this before, we're far above any other municipality in displaying the great art. And I think the opportunity at the Candlelight Station is fantastic. And again, compliments to you for the work that's been done to express the artists throughout Richmond. Well done.
Thank you. So any further questions, comments? So, call the questions. Those in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Now we come to item number 4, the Britannia Shipyard project. So anything to add to the report or anything you want to highlight?
To the chair, we are happy to answer any questions. We have no additions.
Okay, so, who's Councillor 8? Oh, you?
Okay. Yeah, just thank you for the report. And I assume that the Britannia Heritage Society has been involved in this as well, since it's on their property.
To the chair, to Councilor McNulty, that is correct.
Okay. On our page 61, I'm assuming we are restoring this building. Am I not correct?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Okay. Because I gather the mayor's asking for a committee to be involved in this. So when I look at, for example, in the roof system, replaced with corrugated roofing material to match the existing as closely as possible, what does that mean?
Through the chair to Councilor McNulty, the type of metal roofing that existed at that time, the grooves are different, the depth of the groove. So we are trying to bring as close as possible what is produced today.
Do we have any materials, or do we know where any materials are when we have to replace, for example, wood siding?
Through the chair to Councilor McNulty, we will be milling new wood to do the siding. What we cannot repair, we would be replacing.
Okay. All right, so there will be some discussion with people on it. The reason I asked that, I was down studying a certain, and I won't say which one, a certain structure in Steveston about its quote-unquote heritage value. And if you look at it really, I question whether it's heritage materials that have been used to do the replacement. It's not us, okay? I'm just talking about what I've seen in there. And there'll be more discussion to come on that. And I was actually quite appalled by it, to think that this building has slowly lost its heritage, other than its shape and form. It has not stepped up to. So I just want to make sure on page 61, Mr. Chairman, they are replacing, and hopefully, because otherwise the building is not worth redoing unless we are replacing it and keeping it in its form, because that's what it's all about. And I have no problem with the financial impact, because I've always said, if you want heritage and you want to keep old boards and old money, it costs you something. You've got to invest in it. It just doesn't happen. And it's got to be one of those things that you were committed to. So with that, I'll be supporting the report.
Councillor Heath?
Yes, I'm not going to rehash the heritage value, because I was down at Britannia Shipyards about a month ago or something like that. And I hadn't been down there in a while, and I was really surprised to see that one building that was done down there, and it had, I think, 4 or 5 blackboards on it. And I really question, are we retaining heritage value when we do something like that? It was a real surprise To me, I guess I should spend more time in Steveston, but I strongly believe, for example, what Councillor McNulty is referring to is ensuring it is truly heritage versus just some other concept around the modernization of a building. The question I have is with respect to the roof. Does the roof need to be completely replaced, or can it be cleaned off and maintained the way it is?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, the roof was installed in sections. The last one was in 2000. The way it was installed, there are no fasteners. The overlay is also incorrect. We went up, we tried to look at the maintenance of it. It actually does need to be replaced. There are no roof anchors for anybody to do maintenance on these roofs, so they are very dangerous. You cannot get up and do anything without a roof anchor because you cannot actually strap in. And so we actually have to replace on the roof. We had our heritage consultant and our architects confirm that.
Which is fine. And the point I want to make is, yes, if we have to replace it, fine, but boy, we've got to figure out the best material to have that heritage aspect of it for the Netlaw.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, I wanted to highlight that we do follow the standards and guidelines of the conservation of heritage facilities that was issued by Park Canada. And regarding any replacement of materials, we do not replace any materials that we can repair. Our heritage consultant would have to sign off on item by item, piece of wood by piece of wood for us to replace it. And so in the absence of that, we would be trying to repair every single piece that we can.
So, and the point being, and I know the mayor is going to formalize a committee here, hopefully, for the Longhouse, but at least there is a group of people that are there. And I know for this particular heritage area that let's just keep them apprised of what's going on. And I think it's very important. We have, former Councillor Steves here who's got so much value and so much stake in what we do to maintain the heritage. And I think, using their expertise and their minds is of extreme value to us to maintain the heritage. That's just my point I wanted to make. Thank you.
Okay. Carol?
Yeah, thank you. I was also down there and I saw those 4 blackboards and the rest is just brand new. Is there some reason we couldn't stain all the new wood to look like the old wood?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, the wood has been stained with linseed and it will take time to weather. We will wait a couple of years and the colors will get darker.
So you clear coated it so it's stuck. Is that what you did? Because you could have used a dark stain to match what's there, but if you've already sealed it, it's too late.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, we do not, this is not a typical building, so we would go back and reference our heritage consultant. We take direction from the heritage consultant on how to approach these buildings, and then we instruct the contractor to proceed accordingly. So we have direction from the heritage consultant that provided the type of wood and the coloring, and hence we proceeded accordingly.
Rebecca?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, I would also add that the process by which we're going through is a process that historically would have been the case for the building. So when the building was used, they would have been replacing wood with new bare wood as time required, as the boards deteriorated. And so although we have become used to having a uniform look to these buildings, that isn't what would have been the case historically.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and that's the way it's always been done, but I got to tell you, I've been an expert in creating wood that looks like it's 100 years old, and what you can't do with faux finishing is just unbelievable. And so it would be easy to make it look like it would look before if we were so desired to do that. But I, again, don't sit on this committee, so I won't be making a motion. Question about the roofing. So if roofing, some of it obviously is not able to be saved, but could it be repurposed, as a cover for some of the smaller buildings, or just repurposed in a way so you use those materials again?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, we follow circular economy and the council's direction, and we will look at any avenue to recycle and reuse any of the materials that we get out of this building.
Yeah, preferably on site. Because, if you're making a sign, that's just a wayfinding sign, that old roofing material is just fine for that.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, we will discuss with our staff teams and definitely get back to council if that is the case.
It's all a treasure, just remember that. Thank you.
Good. Any further questions for the staff? Now, I understand that, Harold, you want to come to delegate, right? Or Laura? Yes, sir. So please come. Please come forward. The slide.
Hey, I haven't sat here for a long time.
Okay.
Okay, I'm wearing a mask, not because I'm worried about you, but I went through 3 or 4 years without getting COVID. And our grandchildren came home from school about 3 or 4 days before the last day of school, and we all got COVID. I'm over it, but I've had a cough up until about 2 or 3 days ago, so I want to make sure. Anyway, the Britannia Shipyard Society is supportive of doing the renovations, but we have some reservations about it. And the reservations are that we are very concerned in reading the report thoroughly that we can end up with the same results we got with the Britannia Boat Works. And in the Boat Works, they put down that layer, impermeable layer over the roof by putting boards in between the boards. When you build a shingle, when you used to build a shingle roof, you had the boards about 6 inches apart. They put a board in between each one, and then they put the layer over on top of that. And it just looks so obvious that it is not a heritage building anymore. The same thing that happened with the walls. They obviously didn't have a clue as a construction company of how to remove old fir boards. You can't pry them off without splitting them. So my guess is they all split and they had nothing they could put back on. So they put new boards on that weren't kiln dried, weren't edge grain, and are designed to be put onto plywood walls. But they weren't put on a plywood wall, they're put on 2x4s, and it shows on the inside where they're all grooved. And basically, neither the roof of that building or the walls meet the Parks Canada guidelines. And I just want to impress upon council, the Boat Works and the shipyard are supposed to meet Parks Canada guidelines. When we restored the buildings in the first place, it was Heritage Canada that funded most buildings. And there's a requirement of Heritage Canada funding that we must use the Parks Canada guidelines, which we did. But it's also a requirement that if you do additional renovations, that you should still use the guidelines, which we didn't. And so our concern is that we could have the same problems with the shipyard. You all got my letter about the First Nations Longhouse, and again, the same thing. You dismantle that, there won't be a board that will survive. They'll all split and crack and break up, and there'll be nothing left. So I think that it's important that the committee we're talking about to oversee the restoration of the Longhouse should oversee the restoration of the shipyard, of the Seine Loft and the Gilnet Loft to make sure that they do meet the Parks Canada requirements, especially the shipyard, because it is required, because it was funded by Parks Canada in the first place, that we do meet the guidelines. I don't know how they intend to put the membrane across the ceiling, but right now, if you look at the ceiling, you can see the boards that the shingles went on that are that wide, and there's a gap in between. If you fill that gap up, then it's not going to be right. The other thing you have to worry about is the windows. When they did the windows of the Steveston Museum, some of us were a bit worried about that. New windows, wood windows, not kiln dried, not edge grain. I stored the windows away, the originals, in my barn. 15 years later, the new windows had warped. We got the old windows out, took them to the works yard, they restored them, and now we have the original windows back in. new windows, unless they're kiln dried, unless they're edge grain, are going to warp. And I guess, people just don't realize that, but that's what happened. So I think that it's really important that we have that committee to go over the plans to make sure that it is a restoration and not adding things, because adding extra boards between the boards is not like for like restoration. That's addition, and it should be a like for like restoration. Councillor Day asked the question about lumber. When we did the shipyard and the boatworks in 1991, we actually found a barn that was being torn down, and we found enough old lumber that we were able to retrieve to utilize it to make up for any rotting wood at the time. And I brought it home. We took my trailer down. We had a crew of volunteers and very carefully removed the boards. There are ways of doing it, but most people don't know how. They get a crowbar and yank at it and it splits. So I think that these are the things that should be done. Mm-hmm. And we definitely should adhere to the Parks Canada guidelines for the buildings. Parks Canada requires guidelines inside the buildings as well as out. If you're doing a single-family home, you just the guidelines for the outside. But Parks Canada guidelines are for the inside as well, because that's what the public sees when they go to a building. So that's all I really wanted to say. Please set up the committee and set it up to oversee the restoration of all the buildings.
Very good. Okay, so Mr. Sly, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm full agreement with Harold.
Okay, good.
That's good.
That's on the record.
Then I'm in agreement with Harold. Well, it's not the only time I've been. One of the few times I fully agree.
Okay, now staff has a recommendation. It's not on the table yet. So move second. Now, any further discussion or, any amendment, any add-on? Carol?
So I guess this is coming to council next week for final adoption. Is that correct? Yeah, okay. I agree that it would be good to have an oversight committee to, make sure that we get the restoration right. And it could be we have to get creative. And as Councillor, retired Steve's mentioned, sometimes you can find barn boards and that you can be repurposed. And there's a show on TV called Barnyard Restoration, and that's exactly what they do. They find lumber from all around, and they create truly historic buildings with refound and repurposed materials. So I would say get creative and let's do what we can to keep the character, because it is disappointing when a building gets so-called restored, but it looks like a brand new building.
Malcolm?
I think the only committee that I've been asked to recommend people onto is the Longhouse, the First Nations building. If we're contemplating a committee for the rest of the building, we at least have to make the request, and then we can consider that. Might we be a little early on that? But I'll just pose that question.
Through the chair to the mayor, if council direct us, if the direction is to have the committee to manage everything, that is kind of the prerogative of council.
Maybe
If I may, through the chair to the mayor, the process that we go through does involve the Heritage Commission, whose mandate is to review all of the heritage alterations to buildings. And we did work with the commission for this permit, as well as the previous one. So I would just keep in mind that is a council mandated committee that exists.
Maybe what we could do is add a number 2 to the recommendations in terms of the motion, the resolution, is to ask staff to comment on the utility of a committee to oversee or to oversee restoration of these buildings.
Okay. Okay, second. Good. Okay, so there's a part two to the motion. Okay, good. Bill?
Yeah, thank you. I'll support that. At one time, we did have a committee that looked after Steveston, and that was Councillor Stevenson, myself, and others. You know, we keep referring to the process. With due respect, I'm not so sure the Heritage Committee has done a good job, to be quite frank with you. Okay? And I'll make no bones about it. And I'd like to know who the Heritage consultant is.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, it's ANCE consultants.
And who are they, and what, are they a local British Columbia company?
That is correct, through the chair.
And they know a lot about shipyards and what have you?
Yes.
Well, I have to say, we blew down the last building, and I think Councillor Steves is spot on, and I'll throw back at the mayor. If we are going to restore buildings and preserve heritage, let's do it, because right now we're not doing it. I'll be very frank with you. Sorry, staff, we're not doing it, okay? We're spending a hell of a lot of money, okay? And if we're going to, or, as I've said before in Steveston, if you want to bulldoze Steveston, then bulldoze it and put up apartments and everything else. If you want to keep Steveston, 17 buildings, actually 16, 17th one was not really heritage, then do it, but make a decision. Don't play around and put Band-Aids on, okay? And right now, Steveston is eroding, and this Britannia shipyard will be the last heritage site next to the Gulf of Georgia County on the west coast. So let's do it right, because it's only going to come back and haunt us. So
Through the chair, if I may, just one clarification. It is not the same heritage consultant on the shipyards building as it was on the boat builders building. It's a different heritage consultant.
Okay, but I think it'd be worthwhile knowing and having, you know, when we get procurements out there and people make comments and we get 3 bids and stuff, we tend to know about the committee, whether it be Scott Construction, Jones Construction, you know, whatever, we tend to know what they're good at and what they're not. And it'd be interesting to know. I'm not second guessing you, but it would be good for us to know because it does come back to us.
Good. Councillor Hobbs?
Thanks, and through the chair. Well, thank you for the report and all the work that went into it, and also to the society for their input as well. I will just say that it's a hugely important report because a lot of this work is structural, especially when you get into capping the pilings underneath. So there's a huge risk to those buildings if the work isn't done in that respect. And I think it is really important to make sure we get it done properly. So I really do support the recommendation, but also the addition to the recommendation. And I think it could be worthwhile to explore having a committee that's involved in all 3 of the buildings as we've discussed today. So I'll definitely be supporting it. Thank you.
Malcolm?
Just to add to that, maybe we could ask staff to give us a memo on what consultants are being used in the various roles before the council meeting, before it comes to council.
Of course, Mr.
Okay, that can be done. Oh, okay, so we have a motion moved and seconded. Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carry. Thank you very much. So managers report. Do you have any? No, no managers report. So motion to adjourn. So the meeting's adjourned. So we still have the closed meeting. So just.